Hey guys, it's Dr. Your Name here. Now listen, if you've been told bone broth is the secret to building muscle as you age, you've been missold. Bone broth might be trendy, but it's not the muscle-saving miracle people think it is. There's actually a much more powerful food, one that not only builds real functional muscle, but also helps fight off sarcopenia, that nasty age-related muscle loss that steals your strength and independence. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what that food is, and why you should forget the hype around bone broth once and for all. Bone broth has been hyped up in recent years as some kind of miracle food, promoted by wellness influencers and health gurus as the answer to joint pain, gut health, and even muscle building. While it does contain some nutrients, it is far from the superfood it's been made out to be, especially when it comes to building and maintaining real muscle mass. To understand why, you need to look past the marketing and look directly at what bone broth actually contains, and more importantly, what it doesn't. Bone broth is made by simmering animal bones for hours, sometimes even days, to extract collagen, minerals, and small amounts of protein. That sounds good on the surface, but the nutritional profile is underwhelming when compared to foods that truly build muscle. The protein content in bone broth is typically very low, sometimes only 6 to 10 grams per cup, and most of that protein comes in the form of collagen. Collagen is not a complete protein because it lacks sufficient amounts of essential amino acids that your body absolutely requires to synthesize new muscle tissue. It is particularly low in leucine, which is the amino acid most responsible for triggering muscle protein synthesis. Without enough leucine and other key amino acids, your muscles simply cannot grow or repair efficiently. When people believe bone broth will help them maintain strength as they age, they are unfortunately relying on a food that just doesn't have the necessary building blocks. Sarcopenia, which is age-related muscle loss, is not caused by a lack of collagen, but by insufficient high-quality protein intake, resistance to anabolic signaling, and lifestyle factors like low activity. Sipping cups of bone broth may feel comforting, but it won't stop your muscle mass from declining year after year. Muscle requires complete proteins from foods like eggs, beef, chicken, pork, or fish, foods that contain all the essential amino acids in the right ratios, including leucine, isoleucine, and valine. Bone broth simply does not deliver that. Another problem with bone broth is that the marketing around it often exaggerates the mineral content. People assume that because it's made from bones, it must be packed with calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus. In reality, lab tests show that the mineral content is surprisingly low. You would need to drink gallons of bone broth to even come close to the calcium you'd get from a single serving of sardines with bones or a high-quality dairy product. Again, the hype does not match the reality. Collagen, which is the main selling point of bone broth, does have some uses in the body. It may support skin elasticity and joint health to a degree, but that has little to do with maintaining functional strength and muscle mass. Some people confuse improvements in joint comfort with muscle benefits, but they are not the same thing. Having smoother skin or less knee stiffness does not mean you are protecting yourself against sarcopenia. Muscle strength is built through a combination of resistance training and complete protein intake, not through sipping collagen-rich broth. When you look at bone broth critically, you realize it's more of a comfort food than a powerful health tool. It can be part of a diet if you enjoy it, but it should never be mistaken as a replacement for nutrient-dense, protein-rich foods. Believing that bone broth is a muscle-building food is not only inaccurate, it can actually be harmful if it leads older adults to neglect the protein they really need to prevent muscle wasting. The truth is simple: bone broth is overrated. It lacks the nutrients that matter most for building real muscle, and putting your faith in it to protect against sarcopenia is like trying to build a house out of sand. If you truly want to preserve strength, independence, and vitality, you need to focus on high-quality protein sources that have been keeping humans strong for thousands of years, not on the latest health fad. Sarcopenia is one of those conditions that creeps up slowly and quietly, often going unnoticed until it has already caused significant damage. It is the gradual loss of muscle mass, strength, and function that happens as people get older. While many assume that aging automatically means getting weaker and frailer, the truth is that sarcopenia is not just a normal part of aging. It is a condition that can be slowed, managed, and even reversed if we understand it and take the right steps. The reason it's called a silent thief is because it doesn't happen overnight. It works subtly, year after year, robbing people of their strength, their independence, and eventually their quality of life. Most people don't notice sarcopenia in its early stages. It can begin as early as your 30s or 40s, but its effects are often hidden. You might feel a little weaker when carrying groceries, or notice that stairs feel steeper than they used to. At first, these changes seem minor and easy to brush off. But over time, the small declines in muscle mass add up, leading to significant losses in strength. By the time someone realizes they are struggling to stand from a chair, lift a suitcase, or maintain their balance, sarcopenia has already taken a serious toll. This slow progression is what makes it so dangerous. The consequences of sarcopenia extend far beyond just feeling weaker. Muscle is not only important for moving our bodies, it plays a vital role in metabolism, blood sugar regulation, and overall health. As muscle mass decreases, the risk of insulin resistance, obesity, and type 2 diabetes increases. Bone health is also compromised because weak muscles contribute to falls, and falls often lead to fractures. Once someone suffers a major fracture in old age, the chances of losing their independence skyrocket. Nursing homes and assisted living facilities are full of people who didn't necessarily get sick from a disease, but instead lost their ability to live on their own because sarcopenia left them too weak to function safely. Another reason sarcopenia is such a threat is because people underestimate its seriousness. We live in a culture that often focuses on preventing heart disease, cancer, or dementia, but the loss of muscle strength doesn't get nearly as much attention, yet it is one of the biggest predictors of mortality in older adults. Research has shown that low muscle mass and low grip strength are strong indicators of how long someone is likely to live. In other words, the weaker you get, the shorter your lifespan tends to be. Strength and independence are tightly connected, and sarcopenia erodes both if it is ignored. The good news is that sarcopenia is not inevitable. It may be common, but it is not something you have to accept as your fate. The primary drivers of sarcopenia are poor nutrition, lack of resistance training, and chronic low activity. Too many people enter middle age without enough protein in their diets and without engaging in strength-building exercises. As a result, their bodies have fewer raw materials to maintain muscle and fewer signals to preserve it. Over time, this combination guarantees decline. However, when you eat enough high-quality protein and consistently challenge your muscles with resistance, you can slow sarcopenia dramatically and even build muscle well into your 60s, 70s, and beyond. What makes sarcopenia so tragic is that many people don't realize they had the power to fight back until it's too late. If more attention were paid to maintaining muscle mass as we age, fewer people would lose their independence to wheelchairs, walkers, and nursing homes. Muscle is the organ of longevity, and sarcopenia is the thief that steals it away if you let it. Recognizing its danger is the first step to preventing it. With the right nutrition and lifestyle, strength doesn't have to fade with age. In fact, it can become the very foundation that allows you to live longer, healthier, and more independently than you ever imagined. When it comes to building and preserving muscle, there is no substitute for high-quality, nutrient-dense animal protein. Muscle tissue requires specific amino acids to grow and repair, and while many foods contain protein, not all proteins are created equal. The human body needs complete proteins that provide all 9 essential amino acids in the right ratios, and animal protein delivers this perfectly. Foods like beef, chicken, eggs, pork, and fish provide the exact raw materials your muscles require with a concentration and bioavailability that plant proteins simply cannot match. This is why animal protein is the true foundation of muscle health, especially when the goal is to prevent sarcopenia and maintain strength as we age. The amino acid profile of animal protein is one of its greatest advantages. Unlike collagen-rich foods such as bone broth or incomplete proteins from plant sources, animal protein contains adequate levels of leucine, isoleucine, and valine, the branched-chain amino acids that are critical for muscle protein synthesis. Among them, leucine stands out as the key signal that tells your body to start building new muscle. If your meal doesn't provide enough leucine, the muscle-building process is blunted, no matter how much total protein you consume. Animal proteins, particularly from red meat and eggs, are naturally high in leucine, making them uniquely effective for stimulating muscle growth. Beyond amino acids, animal protein also carries an impressive array of micronutrients that support muscle function and overall health. Beef provides iron and zinc, which are vital for energy production and immune support. Fish brings omega-3 fatty acids that reduce inflammation and improve recovery. Eggs deliver not only complete protein but also choline, selenium, and fat-soluble vitamins that support brain and metabolic health. Even chicken, often criticized as bland, is a lean source of high-quality protein that fits perfectly into a muscle-building diet. These nutrients work together to keep the body functioning optimally, ensuring that the protein you eat is efficiently used to maintain and grow muscle. Some people try to argue that plant-based proteins can do the same job, but this is misleading. While it is technically possible to combine plant proteins to get all essential amino acids, it requires careful planning, larger volumes of food, and often results in excess calories or carbohydrates that are not always desirable, especially for older adults trying to manage weight and blood sugar. In contrast, animal protein delivers the full package without complication. A single serving of steak, a few eggs, or a fillet of salmon provides all the necessary amino acids in one shot, without the need for complicated food combinations. For anyone serious about protecting themselves from muscle loss, animal protein is far more efficient and reliable. Another important point is digestibility. Animal proteins are generally more bioavailable than plant proteins, meaning the body can absorb and use a greater proportion of what you eat. As we age, digestion and absorption become less efficient, so maximizing the usability of protein is critical. Older adults may not eat as much food overall, which makes every bite count. Choosing nutrient-dense animal protein ensures that even smaller portions pack a powerful nutritional punch, giving the body exactly what it needs without excess volume or fillers. The role of animal protein in longevity cannot be overstated. Muscle is the most important organ of vitality, and without enough high-quality protein, it simply cannot be maintained. People who prioritize animal protein tend to preserve their independence longer, recover faster from illness or injury, and remain more active into old age. In contrast, those who neglect protein or rely on incomplete sources accelerate the decline of muscle mass, leaving themselves vulnerable to frailty, falls, and disability. Animal protein is not just about building muscle for aesthetics or athletic performance, it is about protecting the very foundation of health and independence. The truth is clear. If you want to build muscle, recover from exercise, and defend yourself against sarcopenia, the most powerful food choice you can make is high-quality, nutrient-dense animal protein. It has been at the center of human diets for thousands of years, and it remains the most effective and efficient way to fuel strength, vitality, and resilience. When it comes to stopping muscle loss, there is one factor that stands above all others: essential amino acids, and in particular leucine. Proteins are made up of amino acids, but not all of them are created equal. The body can produce some amino acids on its own, but there are 9 that it cannot make. These are called essential amino acids, and they must come directly from the food you eat. Without them, your body cannot build or repair muscle tissue, no matter how hard you exercise or how many calories you consume. This is why essential amino acids are non-negotiable when it comes to preserving strength and fighting off sarcopenia as you age. Leucine is the star player among these amino acids. It has a unique role as a signal switch that activates muscle protein synthesis, the process by which your body builds new muscle fibers. Think of leucine as the key that turns on the engine. You might have all the other parts in place, but without leucine, the engine never starts. Research shows that there is a threshold amount of leucine required in a meal to properly stimulate muscle building, and if that threshold is not reached, the body remains in a state of muscle breakdown. This is why just eating some protein is not enough. The quality and amino acid content of that protein matters greatly. Animal-based proteins are particularly rich in leucine, which is one reason they are so effective for building and maintaining muscle. Foods like beef, eggs, chicken, pork, and fish provide not only all the essential amino acids, but also a high concentration of leucine that helps trigger the growth process. In contrast, plant-based proteins are often lower in leucine and may lack 1 or more essential amino acids. This means someone relying mostly on plant proteins would have to consume much larger amounts to get the same effect, often making it impractical. Especially for older adults who cannot eat as much food volume, the decline of muscle with age, known as sarcopenia, is often linked to something called anabolic resistance. This is when the body becomes less responsive to the signals that normally promote muscle growth. Older adults may eat the same amount of protein they did when they were younger, yet their bodies fail to build muscle at the same rate. Leucine plays a critical role here because it can help overcome anabolic resistance by providing a strong enough signal to kickstart protein synthesis. In practical terms, this means that as you age, it becomes even more important to consume protein sources rich in leucine so that your muscles get the stimulation they need to stay strong. It is also worth noting that essential amino acids do much more than just contribute to muscle tissue. They support immune function, hormone production, and recovery from injury. Without enough of them, the entire body suffers. But when it comes to muscle specifically, the research is very clear. A diet rich in essential amino acids with adequate leucine in every meal is one of the most powerful tools to stop or reverse muscle loss. Simply increasing calories or eating incomplete proteins will not have the same effect, because the body cannot substitute or create essential amino acids out of thin air. They have to come from food. For someone trying to fight sarcopenia, this means being intentional with every meal. It is not enough to just eat a salad or snack on bread and expect your muscles to stay intact. Each meal should contain a high-quality protein source that guarantees you reach the leucine threshold needed to turn on muscle protein synthesis. This is the key to protecting your strength, balance, mobility, and independence as the years go by. In the end, essential amino acids, especially leucine, are not just nutrients, they are protectors of longevity. They are the spark that keeps muscle alive and functioning. Without them, muscle slowly fades away, taking independence and vitality with it. With them, you can fight back against sarcopenia and stay strong well into old age. Modern nutrition advice is often filled with fads, trends, and marketing gimmicks that promise quick fixes or miraculous results. From powdered supplements to exotic superfoods, people are constantly being sold the idea that the next new discovery will finally solve all their health problems. But when it comes to building muscle and living a long, strong life, the truth has always been simple: stick to the foods that nourished our ancestors for generations. These are the proven, time-tested foods that built human strength and resilience long before the wellness industry existed. If you truly want to protect yourself from muscle loss and extend your vitality, it is time to forget the fads and go back to basics. Ancestral foods are nutrient-dense, complete, and biologically aligned with human physiology. Meat, eggs, fish, and dairy have fueled human growth and survival for thousands of years. These foods are packed with the protein, essential amino acids, vitamins, and minerals that the body requires not only to survive but to thrive. Unlike modern processed products or trendy miracle foods, ancestral staples deliver everything the muscles need in the most efficient and bioavailable way. They don't need to be fortified, engineered, or marketed. They simply work because they are naturally complete. Muscle is built from amino acids, and no fad food can change that fact. Our ancestors didn't need protein powders, bars, or expensive supplements to develop strength. They ate animal protein, organ meats, fish, eggs, and other whole foods that gave them the raw materials for muscle growth. These same foods are still the gold standard today. What's more, they come with additional benefits that modern processed options often strip away: iron for energy, zinc for immune support, B vitamins for metabolism, and healthy fats that regulate hormones and support recovery. In contrast, fad foods often promise health but fail to deliver the nutrients in the right amounts or forms that the body can use. Another strength of ancestral eating is sustainability for the individual. Fad diets often push people toward extremes, cutting out entire food groups, obsessing over exotic ingredients, or relying on highly processed meal replacements. These approaches are rarely sustainable long-term and usually lead to disappointment or nutritional gaps. Ancestral foods, on the other hand, are simple, accessible, and satisfying. They keep you full, provide steady energy, and naturally encourage strength and vitality without the need for constant monitoring or chasing the next trend. A plate of steak and eggs, for example, will always be superior for muscle and longevity compared to a lab-created plant-based burger or a sugary health smoothie loaded with fillers. It is also important to recognize that many modern health fads are driven by profit rather than genuine nutrition science. Companies can make enormous amounts of money by creating and marketing new products that sound exciting or revolutionary. But real health does not come in a flashy package. It comes from foods that humans have thrived on for millennia. The fact that these foods are often dismissed as old-fashioned is exactly what makes them reliable. They have stood the test of time and proven themselves over and over again. Longevity and muscle preservation require consistency, not novelty. The people who age well, stay strong, and maintain independence are not those who jump from one fad to the next. They are the ones who consistently ate nutrient-rich, protein-dense foods, lifted heavy things, and avoided the traps of modern convenience diets. By anchoring your nutrition in ancestral principles, you ensure that every meal supports muscle health, bone strength, metabolic stability, and overall vitality. This is not about restricting or complicating your diet. It is about simplifying it down to what truly matters. At the end of the day, you don't need the latest powders, exotic berries, or collagen-infused drinks to fight muscle loss and live a long life. What you need are the same foods that built strong, capable humans for thousands of years. Forget the fads, stop chasing trends, and trust the wisdom of ancestral proven nutrition. Stick with real, whole foods, animal protein, eggs, fish, dairy, and nutrient-dense staples, and you will fuel not only your muscles but also your longevity. These foods worked for countless generations before us, and they will continue to work for anyone who chooses strength and health over hype.